Industry Insider is only available at Promo Corner, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry. Each Monday, they discuss, dissect, and debate a single issue impacting the world of promotional marketing from every industry perspective. Now, it's time for Promo Corner's Industry Insider.
Welcome to another edition of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA. I'm joined today by three other lovely folks, but before we get to them, I want to tell you guys that we are brought to you today by Tervis. Those great folks over at Tervis. They've been around since 1946, and they're celebrating 75 years in business, starting with, of course, a pop-up comes up. 75 years in business, starting with their classic line. Sleek styles make this perfect for the active and on the go lifestyle. Tervis is the original double wall insulated drinkware that keeps cold drinks cold and reduces that condensation. Backed by a made for life guarantee, Tervis is the original customizable double wall insulated drinkware that keeps hot drinks hot or cold drinks cold. Available in several sizes, including a 16-ounce mug, a 16-ounce or 24-ounce tumbler, and a 24-ounce water bottle. Made from Triton plastic, made in America, lifetime warranty, dishwasher safe, microwave safe, and BPA free. You got to go check them out at tervispromos.com. You will not be sorry that you did. Stephen McFadden, why don't we say hi to you first? How are you doing today?
Hello. I feel like since this is like episode 101, it feels like our first episode.
Yeah, I mean,
like we've started over and here we are, but it's been awesome.
There you go. Yeah, last week was pretty fun. If you guys didn't check out that episode, we did a little bit of a celebration with a very special guest. So go listen and check that out. Meg Erber with S&S Activewear. How the hell are you doing today?
I am doing good, but I wish it would stop snowing. It's like still snowing here.
Is it still snowing?
Yes.
Yeah, we got snow for 3 days over here.
Yeah. I'm over it.
Of course, you got it worse than we did. I'm in South Central PA. You're over near Philly. You guys got hit harder than we did, right? I mean, we got probably 60.
Yeah, and it's not even. I don't know. It like melts and then piles back on, but it's like their kids have snow days, which is great for them. But I'm still trying to work. So.
Yeah,
doesn't make it easy.
I'm actually really excited because my kids they love playing in the snow, especially the older one, and she finally got to build like her life-size snowman with me the other day, so that was kind of cool.
Aww.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we did go out there last night, and there must be a delay. I'm sorry, but we went out there. I put one of my Burnside flannel shirts on our snowman out there last night. He looked cold.
Very nice, very nice. I'm sure he melted right away because it would have kept him warm, right? Awesome. Marc Vitulli, Vice President of Marketing with S&S Activewear. Yep, we got a double S&S Activewear whammy right here today for you. How are you doing today, Marc?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Good to hear, man. Well, listen, what we traditionally do here on the Industry Insider is we allow our special guests to give a brief introduction of themselves and tell us how you got started in the promotional products industry and what you've been up to since, man. So why don't you take it off and let anybody know that doesn't know who you are, sort of your story.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having me on the show. I'm a little bit different. I didn't come from within the industry. I've been with S&S Activewear for a little bit over 4 years now. But if we're going to kind of rewind and sort of tell the story of where I came from, I actually started my career as an accountant, which is surprising for a lot of people. I went to school and got my master's, got a CPA. I worked for a large accounting firm for my first 5 years out of school. That was all in Chicago. And then I moved over to LA with the same company, had a couple buddies who were just getting going into, at the time, it was the SEO, the cutting edge marketing, digital marketing tactic. And they were starting an SEO agency. And they were the technical marketing guys. And they said, well, we need a business guy to, help us get this company off the ground. And so I'd been in the corporate industry for about 5 years and realized it just, really wasn't my speed. So I decided, all right, I'm going to kind of leave big corporate and get involved in a bootstrap startup company with a couple buddies, went into a war room, created this SEO agency back in, this is 2008 now, I guess, 2009. So really still kind of the Wild West as it relates to SEO. And then had that agency for about 3 to 4 years, had, like any startup, had a lot of ups, had a lot of downs. And then, as the SEO industry changed, Google, changing a lot of their algorithms, we decided to kind of wind down that company, and I sort of just went into consulting from there. So I was doing startup consulting across, a broad range of digital marketing, working, kind of as, startup for, doing, books for them as well, but mostly doing digital marketing. And then that's how I kind of came around S&S. I got hired to do a consulting project early on, about 5 years ago. We had a lot of success, with the programs that we were doing together. And over time, got to really know ownership and management, realized how tremendous of a company was and sort of what their growth trajectory was and what they wanted to do with marketing, and decided to join when they gave me the offer. So this is about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's been such a incredible ride, since I've taken, the role as VP, that we've just done so much. And for the topic today, a lot from a digital perspective.
That's really cool. So one of the things that, well, I guess the main topic for today is, S&S has some big stuff coming up next week, and you're sort of, I know, spearheading or at least a very large part of that, Mark. And so we wanted to bring you on to really discuss the virtual trade show format. I know this is sort of fresh off of Expo Direct to You, so I kind of want to get your take on that, because you guys sort of jumped into that pretty late, but you guys were able to attend and get sort of a feel for how that ran, and would love to get your take on that, and then we'll launch into sort of what you guys are doing at S&S next week, and sort of the overall feeling on the virtual trade show format.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'll again kind of rewind back to the early days of the pandemic, right? When we were starting to try to navigate, are there going to be in-person shows? Do we kind of cut it off and say we just got to focus on digital? So, there was a lot of early sort of decisions to say, we're not sure what's going to happen with in-person, but we definitely need to start thinking about what this new digital landscape could look like. And as we saw people flocking onto Zooms, all of our sales reps, transitioning from in-person meetings to, webinars and Zoomcasts, I would say late summer decided we definitely want to get proficient in what this virtual event space, is going to look like. So when we talk about the event that we have coming up in February, it's really been a 6 month project, looking at all the different platforms that have been out there, really trying to get a feel for what different event planning agencies were doing in the virtual space. Could we recreate the same value that you get out of an in-person show as it relates to networking, product education, and other content, and industry related topics. So it's been a long diligence process, I would say, over the last, over Q3, Q4 now, leading into our show that's coming up next week. So while I would say we've learned a lot, definitely not experts yet. This is going to be our first virtual show, but very excited to see what's going to come out of it. To your other question, as far as what we thought about PPAI, again, this is a big shift for the entire industry, especially, such a, tremendous and successful organization like PPAI, especially with their in-person trade show. So, I think it was challenging for us because the model fit S&S specifically, I'm speaking from S&S's lens, differently than what an in-person show allowed us to do. With over 80 brands that we carry, we used to have a 40 by 80 booth in Vegas, and, we'd bring all of our product with us. And that was an opportunity for, customers to see the breadth of what we carry. In the digital format that they had laid out for us, it was minimized, right? You can only carry 50 products. And so we had to sort of shift the way that we looked at the value of this event from this is a true product education event to more of a brand, brand introduction event, or at least, being there for the relationships that we do have for the customers that we're going to be at the show. So a little bit of a different perspective on what we were expecting to get out of the show. Obviously the cost, the setup, way less. So, I'd say it's about a 5% of the effort went into this, virtual show versus what went into planning for one of the big shows. So, there's a lot of value there. And then we were actually extremely impressed with the traction that we got as well. When we actually looked at, numbers head to head on how many scans we would normally get in the booth in Vegas versus how many people either submitted a sample request or started a chat. Those numbers were almost double. So we haven't quite vetted into the quality of all those leads, but early signs were that, it's a different value again that you're getting, but I think a value that's worthwhile and made sense for us.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. So from a soft goods supplier perspective, because I sort of know where we stand as a soft goods supplier with Headwear, how do you plan to navigate this virtual format with such a tactile product?
So, again, PPI was a bit challenging for us just because we couldn't bring everything, right? So with our virtual event that we have, next week, we will have all of our brand exhibitors there with their own virtual booth. And when we first did this analysis, it was really three things that we got out of all of our surveying and research. It was, what was the value out of the trade shows, right? Networking, product education, getting to see product, and then education. And so when you talk about the product side of it, we're going to have a lot of our brand partners there with the information that they need to talk about new products. What are the best stories that they have coming out for the new year? So they're going to be able to get that information. Obviously, they're not going to be able to touch the product. And so I keep talking about where I see our strategy shifting. And as we do more digital, as much as we're going to shift into digital, we're going to be ramping up our sampling efforts. And that's really going to be the way that we'll be getting product into our customers' hands, is through strategic, curated, relevant sampling efforts. And I think that's one way that we've really separated ourselves over the last year, is coming up with really creative ways to get samples into our customers' hands and having that be a new meaningful touch point, with S&S and our customers.
Do you think that's something, and before you go, Meg, I have one follow-up question to what you just said. Do you think that's something that you could maybe elaborate on? Because I think that what you're saying makes a lot of sense, especially ramping up the sampling program. My question is, because I feel like at a trade show, you're so reliant on people, or I guess the ability for people to come up and actually touch the product and feel how soft that, great new t-shirt is. How do you then take control of that situation? And what are you guys doing to really focus on, because you said it was a focused sort of curated sampling program. So how are you going about doing that?
So from a sample, I guess there's kind of two questions in there. From the way that we're strategically approaching our sampling program is, to kind of have more of an elevated presentation. So I guess this would be more from like a branding perspective. And through that elevated presentation, allowing that sample to sort of stand out above, any other samples that they may be getting, right? Our customers are seeing t-shirt and fleece all day, every day, and getting stuff sent to them all the time. So how do you really present that product in a unique way? And so again, that's through elevated packaging, really, really good messaging, obviously, giveaways and other contests and fun little tips and tricks are ways to sort of make that sample stand out. I think to the other part of the question is, how do you sort of replace that, like that touch and feel in-person product presentation? Yeah. I don't know, Meg, I maybe kind of kick that over to you. How have you been, sort of working with your
swatch
customers?
books?
Yeah, swatch books for everybody.
Yeah.
No, what we've done, and even in my Zoom meetings ahead of time, I'm sending out these samples that I'm going to be talking about. So everyone's getting a sample kit or a sample box. So that's what I was really excited about, was the sample box that we're going to be sending out to people. I know with PPAI, you could either buy like a $50 box or a $100 box. And the general consensus feedback was they weren't that great of boxes. Like it was like a nice hat, but then the hat had like the supplier name.
They were all vendor name.
Yeah. And it's like when
stuff,
we're giving these, I feel like as a distributor, Stephen, like when you get these samples, like you actually either want to be able to show them or wear them or do some field testing, especially if you paid for them. Mm-hmm. So I think we've always really prided ourselves on like really cool decorations. I'm obviously not wearing anything right now, but when we do our marketing, I don't know if you've seen the background, but we are sending out all these really cool things that aren't just going to come in a flat envelope or a square box necessarily. Like our marketing department has like hit the nail on the head with all this curated marketing, strategic marketing. So So we're doing, and not only, I think we're having some really cool prizes that we're giving away. Like, I want to hear more about how you guys decided to get into that. And like that's so cool. I want to win one, but I can't.
I guess that was a little bit of edification and a pat on the back for you, Mark, as the VP of marketing, for Meg to say that the marketing department's spot on. Good for you.
It's such a collaboration, between our whole company and obviously between sales and marketing. So we're there just supporting them, and it's awesome to get great feedback from the customers and then obviously from our team as well. So thank you, Meg.
That's awesome. So Meg, you said I took your question in the Facebook comments, so I guess you don't have a question now.
Then I just kind of went and changed into that. But no, it was really like, we're all about getting samples into our customers' hands. You have to touch and feel them. So if we can get a sample box out to our customers ahead of time, I think that's what we're doing, right? I think the first 1,000 or so people that sign up get a sample box. Or did I like the beans or?
No, that's exactly what's happening. So again, this was our first time, doing a virtual event. We had no idea what the traction was going to be. I talked to, our reps at PPAI and ASI, tried to see what they were expecting. I spoke with Bala Canvas, who's been doing some live events, just to get a gauge on maybe what the turnout could be. And we sort of, in my head, I was thinking, maybe 2,000 to 3,000. But conservatively, we said, well, maybe it'll be 1,000 to 1,500. So we sort of stuck with the early registrant gifts at 1,000, and so far we've had over 5,000 RSVPs. So we're super stoked. Really happy with the turnout there. Just I hope they all show up. So
I don't know if
some cool prizes, as Meg said.
I don't know if there's any way to know, and maybe there is. Are most of those 5,000, are they all existing customers, or are you guys still getting traction from new people? Because I know that was one of the things with PPAI where if people didn't know you, it was hard to get people to come into a booth of someone that didn't know what they were clicking into, right? So do you guys see this
on a thumbnail?
Right. Like, do you guys feel like this has been a good way for you guys to reach potential new people or to expand?
So we're definitely seeing it more as an opportunity to reach new customers who are customers with S&S.
Gotcha.
So maybe customers who have signed up within the last 3 to 6 months, or even within the last year. Technically, because it is a free event, we're requiring a customer number to sign up for the event. And not only though are we speaking to lifetime customers who we want to make sure that we're in front of them and getting them all the information they need, but also be able to tell the S&S story to any new customers who might not know us that well just yet.
We have
Awesome.
some really cool comments coming in on Facebook, and so I just want to touch on a couple of these. First of all, Northeast Screen Printers wants to know how they can go about getting a sample box for the event next week when they sign up. And so I don't know if you've answered that question with the first 1,000 people. So, and you're over 5,000 now, so it's kind of too late, or is that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's too late though. So
the early bird gets the worm, Northeast.
Yeah, and it filled up pretty quick. I mean, it happened within like the first hour. So it was pretty cool to see, how many people jumped on, the event right away. So unfortunately, not for this one, but for the next one, we'll have more.
Very cool. And then Tim Hill chimes in and says it could have some fun unboxing videos of the sample boxes on socials, and then maybe win some prizes. I know last week we had Bill Petrie on, and we talked about sort of what they did to launch their company using promo to sell promo, and I think we talked about sort of that social atmosphere and social interaction through social media with the different brand advocates. So I think there's definitely some steam with that, if that's something you guys have considered or not. But I thought that was a cool comment, so I just figured I'd bring that up to you guys as well.
No, I mean, we love all that stuff. It's, it's stuff that we're trying to do more of, right? Obviously, social media is becoming way more prevalent, within our industry and for us as a growth driver, from a marketing perspective. So, those types of collaborations are cool. I don't know if we'll be able to pull that off here at the last minute, but definitely stuff that we want to be doing.
Mark, I kind of have oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. Did you have a follow-up to that?
No, go ahead.
Kind of forward thinking here, looking at the trend of digital events. I love that you guys are early in I think what will be the timeline of this, phase of full digital experience events, I'm starting to see as a distributor, and I'm sure others are as well, a lot of invites for digital events. Whether it be with one supplier or 3 suppliers or multi-line, and a lot of them are doing very similar things where they're adding education components and they're turning what would be a trade like a product look into an all-day event. And I'm just wondering what the capacity is, right? Like, if everyone did a 1-day full education event, that's a lot of suppliers taking up a full day, right? So I'm just wondering, like, I love that you guys are doing it when you're doing it, because you're getting in on the ground floor where I'm okay to spend a day, right? I think that's awesome, and we're excited to do it. But 4 months from now, I don't know how many more days I'm going to have left, So
Right,
it's
right.
like, where do you see this going, and how do you see this maybe, combining or becoming like little mini shows as opposed to individual supplier events?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was, we talked, about this at length, leading up to this event and the timing of the event, and, was PPI going to do a show or not? Right. Again, we started this, back in end of late summer. And for us, what gave, us comfort throughout was knowing that everyone's going to be doing a show, but we do have differentiators from our competition and from other people in the industry.
Sure.
So it is truly an S&S event. Yes, the format is going to be following a similar path, which is, content, exhibitor booths, showing product, it's all going to have similarities. But we wanted to make sure that the content spoke to S&S. Yes, it's overlapping with, industry related topics, but through a lens of S&S. And when we think about all the brand exhibitors, there are S&S brands, right? So, if anyone else in our industry, our competition was going to be doing something else, they would have a message, I think, that resonates directly to their customers. Sure, to the end user, having to go to 30, 40 shows throughout the year now, would start to become, it would lose its luster. And I do see there being, I think there's going to be a ramp up in this space, and I definitely think there will be, and I think it's going to go heavy this year through like Q2, Q3, and then it's going to kind of, wind down a little bit, off of the craze. But I definitely think virtual events are here to stay. It's just, I think they're going to be exciting, in this first year, and then find sort of a happy medium where they belong once we kind of get back into in-person events as well.
Yeah. So the biggest differentiator that S&S has is that you guys have Erber. The other guys don't.
It's true.
1,000%.
Yeah. Very true.
So no, in regards to what you're saying, yeah, I was actually, and I don't know if anybody else has done this or not as a supplier, but I know I'm surprised that there hasn't been more news of it happening, just because I know, even folks like PCNA, they branched out on their own a couple of years ago to do their own trade shows, like physical trade shows, as opposed to like doing more of the bigger and regional shows. They were doing their own traveling show. I feel like the virtual format is easier to do something like that with. And so I don't know why there hasn't been more folks that have done that, other than, maybe that tactile experience that you miss on from an in-person. So not really a question there, but I don't know.
Well, I would say my comment there is the other challenge that we knew we were facing this whole time was getting our customers to be comfortable in this new digital world, right? And so I think that was a scary leap for anyone, while, in person still made sense. And now that we've all been sort of pushed over the edge, our biggest thing with leading up to this event and the morning of the event is communicating on how to use this platform. Don't be scared of it. It operates, just like a website. But I think now that we are here and people start to get comfortable, we could see it stay.
Yeah.
I agree. I think a lot of times, for the most part, up until the end of last year, people were just holding their breath. Like, we're holding our breath for the next thing, for the vaccine or for the election, or they're holding their breath to see what happens next. And if you don't make that switch to do something virtual, you're going to get left behind. You have to evolve and you have to adapt to whatever's coming your way. And that's what comes with being a good salesperson or being good in marketing. It's like, you have to be thinking a couple steps ahead, so you have that runway to be able to come up with this great event. Anyone who's just now starting to plan their event, it might not get this off the ground this year.
It could be too late.
It could be too late. Exactly. Yeah. I know some of the boards I'm on, we're looking at hybrid events later in Q3, because I think by then this virtual platform of like, I'm so glad that we're going to be one of the first people to do it, and that PPAI kind of paved the way for us, and we got to learn a lot. And I think our customers also got to learn how to navigate those types of environments. So I think it'll go off a lot more without less hitches, if that's active.
So listen, since it's hockey season and I'm wearing a Washington Capitals hat right now,
Oh,
you know,
you're done.
I'll quote Wayne Gretzky in that, you know, he always skated to where the puck was going, not to where the puck is. So
Yes.
just to sort of piggyback on what you just said there.
Yeah, and I would say, Meg, you are right, and I can tell how the timeline of the year is already starting to shape out based on some of the events I'm starting to see where they're saying these are going to be in person, and here's how we're going to do it in person. So I've seen, actually this morning we got a confirmation that there's going to be one in October. This is on for an end user side, but it's and they're like, we're working with local municipalities. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to bring groups in waves. So people are going to, at the same time, push the digital events. They're going to still try to figure out how can we get back in person, and eventually they're getting back in person, right?
Yeah.
So I think you guys are perfect to be at the front of this window, and you know, the window is probably fairly small. I think there's an opportunity to do it even once it's done. Like you said, Mark, I don't think these are going anywhere, but if you want to be able to occupy someone's calendar, that's the other thing, you know.
You know what? It's so funny hearing you say that, Stephen. This is all us last March. Like, it's not going to last. It's just going to be like 2 weeks, dude. Like,
Yeah. But we also didn't have the PPE, the digital scanning stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, there's ways to do stuff with, you know, if they plan it, you know, for 10 months.
Yeah.
So Mark, when you guys have 5,000 people come to your virtual event on next Thursday, will you be able to handle the load?
Yeah, one of the first questions. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Answer that one. I'll come back.
Is it yes or no?
One of the first questions I asked was, can we make it work if we do end up having 5,000 RSVPs, and the platform that we chose has unlimited capacity pretty much. We said it could go up to 100,000. So
sweet.
So no issues there.
And so from a trade show standpoint, how are you, like, you maybe set the floor for us for what people can expect? I mean, you know, or how many reps do you guys have versus the 5,000 people that will be there? I mean, is it a traditional sort of trade show format, but in a virtual presentation, or is there certain things that you'll be filtering people through?
Yeah, so a couple things there. So the virtual event itself is not, it's not in 3D. It's not, they're not going to come into the platform and walk around an actual virtual trade show. The platform that we chose is very similar to a website. So very simple, very functional. And every one of our brands I asked was, can we make it work if we do end up?
All right.
Is that me?
Somebody's watching this stream. Way to go.
Oh, it was me.
You do it every time.
It's so slow. I was trying to get off of it. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, what'd you say twice there? You want to repeat it 3 times?
What did I do? What was it?
I'm so sorry.
Wow, Meg.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, so where I was though is the collaboration that we have with all our brand partners. They're the ones who are going to be making that happen and handling that volume, right? So we have 30 different exhibitor booths, and they're going to be staffing their booths, the same way that we would at one of our, if we were participating in a show. And so they're going to be the ones kind of handling all the questions as it relates to their products. Obviously, our S&S reps will be there as well, but it's really the support of our amazing brand partners that are going to be able to handle that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think Meg did actually mention that, but that's good, I guess, for everybody to hear as well that'll be attending. I mean, you will get attended to, that's for sure. Do you guys have any other follow-up questions, or should we launch straight into to rapid fire?
I don't have any more questions. I'm really excited about it. I'm like pumped up. Like we had some breakout sessions that we pre-recorded, and we have a bunch of industry experts that are going to be all over it, from sustainability, from on-demand printing to decoration. It was just, there was some really cool stuff coming up, and you can definitely learn a lot. I highly recommend coming to see us.
Before rapid fire, can you quickly say where to go if they're not registered?
Yes, don't know if we can share a link in the Facebook.
We can put
or
it. We
not.
can put it on the post, but we'll
Yeah.
post a link then if you guys haven't registered. We'll,
Meg,
we'll
post
provide
the link
resource for that.
after the broadcast.
After.
Yeah, we'll share a link to our landing page, and again,
Awesome.
customers with S&S free to sign up, and it takes 2 minutes.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Appreciate
Rapid
that,
fire.
guys.
Rapid fire away. Why don't we go to Meg Erber first? Why don't you ask your question?
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Nope.
Would you rather every shirt you wear be kind of itchy or have to use 1-ply toilet paper for the rest of your life?
One ply for sure. Yeah,
Right?
just
Right? I mean-
just fold it
One
up,
ply.
yeah.
Yeah, just make
Yeah,
it 2-ply by full. Yeah.
Can I buy a bidet?
I mean, oh, you could.
It's cheating.
It is cheating.
Can I buy a new shirt?
It's a loophole.
Can I just buy an S&S shirt? I mean,
Exactly. Can I get an S&S shirt and like keep my 2-ply like
in 8 weeks, you'll get one. You know how it goes.
8 weeks? Meg, you're giving yourself way too much credit.
All
For
right.
anyone that knows, that's not a shot at S&S. That's a shot
No,
at
it's
Meg.
not Meg.
That's a shot at Meg. Actually, it's not a shot at Meg. Meg's so good at her day job that she forgets about the little people that that don't contribute to the sales.
All right, Jeff, your turn. Rapid fire.
Oh yeah, fair enough. All right, yeah. So, are you guys paying attention to stocks at all?
Well, I
Yeah,
know
so
of the story. Yeah,
GameStop or AMC?
to the moon.
Yeah. Well,
Silver.
GameStop had a little dip the other day, so I guess AMC.
Yeah, I'm a little late, to the.
Yeah, I feel like we're
We
all a
should've
little late
mentioned
to
this
the
We've
party.
already missed it.
Yeah.
Silver, guys. Silver. That's what's next.
I don't know that that's true.
AMC. Yeah, I think GME is peaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Plus, I heard that there's a company that just invested in AMC as well. So, anyhow, that's my question.
All right, my rapid fire. It's really quick, but there's 2 answers that I have to get from both of you. External keyboard or the one on your computer, and external mouse or the one on your computer.
External keyboard or the one on your computer, assuming you're using a laptop.
External.
External.
Whatever. External for both?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
I need a
Jeff,
big. I need a big monitor.
So do I. And I have like monitors. If I'm traveling, I just have my little tiny Surface, but that's only when I'm traveling.
Jeff, what are you using?
I mean, I always use an external keyboard and mouse unless I'm using a laptop. Then I use the keyboard on the mouse or on the laptop, but then an external mouse still.
Huh. So I always use my keyboard on the laptop because I don't have a desktop, and then external mouse, not the one on the.
I mean, if I'm at home or in the office, like I'm working from a desktop. So.
All right,
Fair
nerd.
enough. Docs and computers. All right, Mark, your turn.
Marc Vitulli, what is your rapid fire question for the 3?
I guess I could do. Well, I'll go with a relevant one. We got Chiefs or Tampa Bay.
Kansas City Chiefs all day long. Tom Brady, suck it.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs just because we have a distribution center there. I really don't care. That's all. Rapid fire, Steven. A or B?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. I think there's a secondary issue matchup on Tampa Bay's side. Too many weapons.
Yeah, I mean the Chiefs are so strong, but it would be fun to see if Tom Brady. Not that I love him either, but if he pulls it off, it's just definitely
I want to see him
definitely-
lose it again.
definitely GOAT status. Yeah.
It's like I told Dale Denham a couple weeks ago. I said I'll root for you this week so that you can get into the Super Bowl because I would just love to see Tom Brady get there and cry himself to sleep the following day again. Anyhow,
hatred.
Yeah, a little bit, And I don't even know that it's all necessarily directed at him. Some of it's Bill Belichick. I like him more in Tampa Bay than I did in New England.
Agreed.
But like a sliver more. So, all right. Well, we've lost half of our audience talking.
Right.
So, I should talk to you guys just a little bit more about Tervis. So why don't we get into that? We'll talk some sustainability. Okay. So The hashtag #TakeYourTervis is another way that they use social media to promote sustainability. They had a partnership with Four Oceans, and they did a beach cleanup on Siesta Key. And according to Four Oceans, which does the cleanup year round and across the world, this was the largest turnout with over 1,300 registered participants. They were able to collect the following stuff. Listen to this, guys. It's pretty disgusting. All right. 144 straws, 5,877 cigarettes, 463 plastic bottles, 187 plastic cutlery, 355 plastic bags, 234 plastic or foam cups, 1,346 bottle caps. Tervis is passionate about their oceans, and they care for the creatures that call it home. They're committed to making it a better place, and have been for 72 years, not because it's trendy, or helps sell tumblers, but just because it's the right thing to do. So listen, if you care about sustainability, if you care about awesome drinking vessels, you got to go check them out at tervispromos.com. You won't be sorry that you did. And with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and end things. So, Marc, I really appreciate you being on with us today. Thank you. I really appreciate the perspective on the virtual trade show format, and look forward to seeing what comes. Best of luck to you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Marc.
Take care.
Take care,
Have a
guys.
great one, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.